Hi cuties, it's me Ginger. Welcome back to the Royal Diaries. What we're going to talk about today is a fashion show actually worth it? So I get this question a lot because I do love doing fashion shows. I love the stress and the drama of fashion shows. But, some people kind of wonder if they're actually worth it anymore, if fashion shows give you what you truly need. So I'm going to tell you from my experience the pros and the cons of having a fashion show. Let's jump on into it. So first of all, I just want to explain what is a fashion show. A fashion show is when you have multiple garments. The number of garments depends on how big or small the fashion show is. If you're doing a smaller show, it may be 6 looks, or if you're doing a bigger show, it could be 15, 20 looks. But a fashion show is really just to show off you and who you are as a designer and your aesthetic and all your different silhouettes that you can do and what you're into. So that is really what the fashion show is. Just show who you are through your designs. So who attends these fashion shows? A lot of people wonder, like, well, is it just friends, family? Typically, yes. A lot of times friends and family do want to support you and support your dream, obviously. But also who you want there are buyers. You definitely want to always have a stylist there because they are the ones that pull clothes to put on different models, celebrities, different types of people. So they help kind of market your clothing. Buyers are the ones who will be buying your clothing, whether they own a boutique, own a online store, or even work for a corporate company on the retail level, Macy's, Nordstrom's, that type of thing. Those are the people that you want really there. You want the people that are going to buy your clothes. You want also your target market, which I'll kind of get into a little bit, but you want people that are going to be the ones that are going to be buying your clothes or pulling your clothes for their next project. So that's who you really want to be there. I also get questioned like, who puts on these fashion shows? I've done New York Fashion Week a couple times. I've done LA Fashion Week several times, and I've done a bunch of just little shows in and around LA. I did a show in Northern California a couple years back. So people always ask me, like, who putting on these shows? Usually they're production companies or a company that works with indie designers and indie brands and things like that. You don't really need to be on the big kind of Bryant Park circuit that happens in New York every year until you get to that level, because those ones are very, 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 very expensive to join, because I did look it up. It's a good $20,000-$30,000 just to be in the show, and that doesn't include hair, makeup, models, video, photos, the whole 9. So if you got some money to spend, sure, but if not, you want to definitely stay on the indie circuit with just show producers that do it. They typically provide, they work with photographers, they work with videographers, they typically have casting calls for models, have makeup artists, things like that. So you don't have to find all these things separately. Everything is included in the package. So you can just look within your city. My advice would be to, maybe go to one first and see how they do, or look at their videos if it's in a different state and you can't necessarily just hop on a plane and go. Definitely look up their previous videos, see the other shows that they've done, so that you can see the kind of quality that you are going to potentially be getting. Another question I get is what goes into fashion show prep. I do have another video about what it's like being in a fashion show, so you can check that in the description box. It's really about creating your collection. That would probably be the hardest, most stressful part, is really creating your collection, whether you're creating it yourself or you're having someone sew for you, or pattern make for you, and maybe you're sewing, or maybe you're doing parts of it but not all of it. They don't want people who buy wholesale and show at the show. What I've seen is that you can buy wholesale and show at the show, but the majority of what you have, you should either make or you should be getting manufactured exclusively for you. However, working on your show and working on your collection is probably the biggest thing. So you have to think about the color story, the mood that you want, the music that you want, the hair, the makeup. Typically for my shows, I used very pop upbeat music. Most of my models do wear wigs, so that they all look like Barbie girls. That kind of aesthetic is what I want. So usually they're wearing pink wigs and have pink lips, Very, very pink, obviously, if you don't know me. For my collection, that takes usually like at minimum a month of planning of that. Sometimes I have done rush ones, but at minimum a month of planning of what I want in the show, the silhouettes that I want, the fabrics that I want to use, and just the story that I want to tell this time. You can name your collection. Sometimes you name it, sometimes you don't. It really just kind of depends on what your brand is and what you're doing. But the prep work is really creating a cohesive collection and thinking about every look. A look is for the full outfit, from the hair down to what shoes the model's going to wear. Everything should be considered when you are prepping for doing a fashion show. And typically most models can model anything. I mean, even the ones that are just kind of breaking in and building up their portfolio. But if you have a certain look that you want, you don't want to put a 5-foot model in a ball gown, because that won't really make any sense, because he will have to be wearing some 10-inch heels just to look like it makes sense. A lot of people, especially when you say you're a designer, they instantly want a model for you. So you just have to make sure that you have the aesthetic in your head. You want to make sure you tell them, that's great, I can totally use you for a photo shoot maybe, or, for something. But, for a runway, you really, since it's moving, you can't cheat things. With photos, you can cheat. Someone could be 5'2", you would never know. A lot of online retailers use models that are 5'2", but you would never know that. They, when they photograph tall, so you would never know. But I know that for a fact because I've worked for them, and I know that, and I've measured the models, and they maybe be a strong 5 foot, but that's online, and that's print modeling, and it's different. But runway, since things are going to be moving, people are going to be watching on a stage, whether it's raised or even if it is on the floor, you can't cheat a lot of things, like pinning things to make it fit a little bit better. Of course you can cheat that, but the proportion, you can't cheat on a runway. So you have to make sure you pick models that work with the proportion that you are trying to convey to the public. So what do you do after the fashion show? Well, you finally relax and probably sleep, because unlike me, I don't sleep for several days. So you get to finally sleep and relax. But after that, you really want to look to selling your brand. You really want to get some really good photos. Even though you have some photos for that were off the runway, probably would be a good idea to set up a lifestyle shoot and shoot all the items, because maybe you had things that were layered and the model had the jacket on way at the back of the runway. By the time she got to the middle, it was off, and by the time she got to it was half off, and by the time she got to the front, the jacket was completely gone. So the photography is only of what was underneath. You never really got a good picture of the jacket. So you want to make sure that you have a photo shoot shortly after. You can make a lookbook if you want, like a physical lookbook, or you can just do a digital one. But you do want to get those really good pictures that have close-ups of any design details. You want to definitely get like a front, back, side, or 3/4, just so that when your customers are looking at it, they can see everything from all angles. It's not just the one runway one where they're walking and doing this and everything. It's not just that. They can see all the angles. Oh, go in there. Go sit, baby. Go sit. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. So you definitely, after the show, want to have those pictures. You want to start promoting it to any fashion blogs if you can, submitting it, making your line sheet so you can submit it to buyers. You're going to really just start doing the hard work, and then you might even look into, cost of manufacturing, if you get things made instead of, possibly you making them, or maybe having somebody else make them, things like that. So you want to look into ways of how to now produce the line, get it out there, start selling it, all those things. So this all depends on also your business model. If you want to do mass production, or if you want to just do things just client to client. So it all depends on what you want to do. But you want to be thinking about these things as you are coming down from the fashion show. Now it's like the real work comes in. With all that being said, is it worth it? Because of the cost that goes into it. If you think about development of your line, you can probably think of anywhere between $500 to $1,000 more spending on, you know, fabric, accessories, you know, if you're going to do wigs, or if you're going to, you know, buy shoes, you know, accessories like rings and things like that. Another thing to consider is that, you know, possibly who you're doing your show in front of, maybe there are no buyers there. There's no stylist that would pick your aesthetic. Maybe their aesthetic is way completely different and abstract from what you are. That could be another issue. You have to consider that portion of it. You have to consider the cost of traveling if you're going out of town, you know, plane tickets, you know, food, lodging, all that stuff you have to consider. When I did New York Fashion Week, for example, I probably paid around like $3,000. You know, was it worth it in the sense of the experience of doing and having fun? That was worth it. For me, that was worth it. I went back and did it again, but I don't do shows every season. So that's something that kind of helps me cut down on costs. I do a lot of local shows in my area, so I don't have to travel very far, or if, you know, I do travel, I can come back home afterwards. I don't have to worry about getting a hotel or Airbnb or things like that. So for me, I love them. I think it's worth it. But if I was looking purely on numbers, it hasn't been worth it, because the amount that I'm putting out, I'm not getting that back, because not every fashion show I go, I do meet people that are like, I love your brand, I love what you're doing, you're great, yada yada yada. Here's my card. I met some cool bloggers, I've met some cool stylists, but I haven't, you know, it's never been to like the scale of like, okay, somebody came to me and was like, here, I want to place a $25,000 order. Like that, I haven't gotten to that point yet. So I would say if you're looking purely at numbers and that's what you really want, is to get that number, then it probably won't be worth it for you. But if you just want the experience to know what it's like, so you can have a show and have that under your belt and you know what to do at a fashion show, I would definitely say it's worth it to at least do a couple and try different production companies and see which ones work for you. I would definitely say that in itself is worth it. So in conclusion, I would definitely say fashion shows are a lot of fun. They are a lot of work. Don't get it twisted. It is very, 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 very not glamorous, but they are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I definitely recommend people to do them. I just wouldn't recommend doing one for every season or every collection, or wanting to do a collection every, you know, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. I wouldn't recommend that. I would definitely recommend using, you know, maybe some old stuff that you made that maybe no one has seen yet, or, you know, even people have seen it. Mix it in, some old and some new. You know, don't think like, oh, I'm going to do a 24-piece collection and, you know, in 2 weeks. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, really think about it, really create the looks that you want to create, and just go from there. So I would definitely say you should try it out. see if you like it. If you don't like it, it's not for you. You can do a lifestyle shoot and just, you know, get photos and video and get a videographer and kind of take a video of the progress and the process of having a photo shoot and styling the models and, you know, doing their hair and all of those things, which I think would be great as well. And you can do your own virtual fashion show and you can do it on your time and your dime and all of that. So just really think about that. Think about, you know, who you want to be there. Think about if, you know, you're doing this for numbers only or if you're doing this just for the experience. And, you know, think about what to do after, which is really selling your brand and selling yourself afterwards. So definitely consider all of that before you have your fashion show. And, you know, I just want to wish you luck. And if you have any questions that perhaps I did not answer in this video, feel free to leave your questions below and I will answer them the best I can. But until next time, thank you all for checking out my video. You can check out more videos on my channel. I am talking all about fashion, being a fashion brand, and being a young entrepreneur in the fashion world in this glam life of fashion. So you can learn about what a LA designer actually does and what it's like being a true indie designer. So feel free to check out my other videos. click that subscribe button, that notification button, and I hope you will enjoy my channel, and I hope to see you again. Okay, bye.